Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise to bring you the essential insights you need. Today, we're taking a really close look at Brazil, a nation, well, it feels like it's at a pivotal crossroads.
It certainly does. Lots happening.
Yeah, we'll be diving into a landmark political trial, one that's really challenging its democracy. Plus, a surprising diplomatic clash, with big international trade implications.
And the economy, too, those latest twists, balancing growth with fiscal discipline.
Exactly. And how the country navigates these deep internal divisions, especially with Independence Day coming up.
It's a complex picture for sure.
It is. It's a captivating story, and we're really excited to explore it with you today. Before we jump right in, if you find value in these deep dives, please do hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It genuinely helps us keep bringing you these crucial analyses.
Absolutely. And this deep dive, using the Brazil Daily Report from September 1st to 3rd, 2025, it really does paint a multi-layered picture of a nation in flux. Our mission today really is to unpack these big developments, from the political headlines and economic shifts
To the cultural currents as well.
right, and those underlying social tensions. We want to give you a comprehensive understanding of what's truly shaping Brazil right now,
Right.
sort of exploring how these different threads connect and what they might signal for the country's future path.
Okay, let's start then. Some really significant political news that's echoing across Brazil. The nation is gripped by this historic trial involving former President Jair Bolsonaro. What exactly are the core accusations?
Well, this trial is unprecedented, really, in its scope and what it could mean. On September 2nd, Brazil's Supreme Federal Court, they opened proceedings against ex-President Bolsonaro and 7 of his closest allies.
7 allies, too. Wow.
Yes. And they face severe charges, most notably attempted coup and armed criminal conspiracy.
An attempted coup. That's huge.
It is. Prosecutors are building a case arguing Bolsonaro actively orchestrated this wide-ranging conspiratorial effort, their words, to invalidate his 2022 election defeat, essentially to illegally stay in power. They've presented quite a bit of evidence testimony, documents to back this up.
And Bolsonaro's response?
Predictably, perhaps, he vehemently denies everything. He's dismissing the trial as politically motivated persecution. And that narrative, it resonates deeply with his supporters.
Right, and this isn't just playing out domestically, is it? These political tensions are clearly spilling over Brazil's borders. We're seeing pretty significant international ripples, especially this diplomatic standoff between President Lula and the U.S. How did that start?
Precisely. The international angle here is, well, it's crucial. Things really escalated when Washington, under President Trump, slapped these hefty 50% tariffs on various Brazilian exports.
50%. That's not subtle.
Not at all. And it wasn't random. The U.S. explicitly said it was direct retaliation for Bolsonaro's prosecution.
So direct interference, essentially.
Yeah, that's how Brazil sees it. President Lula's administration responded quite assertively, focusing on sovereignty. He's lodged a formal complaint with the WTO, called for talks, and made it clear Brazil will, quote, not lower its head to those who threaten our sovereignty.
Strong words.
Very. And this is reinforced by a new patriotic slogan on the side of the Brazilian people and the theme Brasil Soberano, Sovereign Brazil, which the government's pushing ahead of Independence Day. It really highlights Lula's delicate balancing act. He needs to project strength, defend Brazil's judicial process, its economic interests.
While also trying not to completely burn bridges with the U.S., a major trade partner.
Exactly. It's a tightrope walk.
So stepping back a bit, what does all this, the trial, the diplomatic stance, what does it really mean for Brazil's democratic institutions and its place globally, especially with that intense polarization at home?
It's a profound test, no doubt, both internally and externally. Domestically, the trial shows perhaps institutional resolve, holding even former leaders accountable, signaling, the strength of the rule of law.
A message that no one's above the law.
That seems to be the message. Globally, Lula's actions are a clear assertion of Brazil's independence. Its right to handle its own affairs. It positions Brazil as a nation demanding respect, which is a powerful message in today's world.
But that polarization you mentioned.
That's the critical point, yes. While Lula's supporters see this as vital accountability, Bolsonaro's base sees it as a direct attack. So it creates this huge challenge for national unity. It makes it really hard for the country to move forward together, whatever the trial's outcome.
So upholding democratic principles might actually risk deepening the societal divisions.
That's the potential bind they're in. A real catch-22.
Okay, while all these political and diplomatic waves are crashing, how's the economic engine doing? Let's shift gears. The latest data seems to show a mix. Slowdowns, but also some unexpected resilience. What's the picture?
It is quite nuanced, yeah. Brazil's economy grew 0.4% in Q2 2025. Now, on the surface, that looks like a sharp drop from the 1.3% surge we saw in Q1.
Right, quite a deceleration.
But, and this is the interesting part, it actually beat market expectations. So there's some underlying strength there. This resilience was mostly driven by robust services. They grew 0.6% and also sustained mining activity.
So those sectors helped offset other areas.
They did. They offset a slight pullback in consumer spending, though even that still rose 0.5%, helped by a strong labor market. Year on year, the GDP grew about 2.2%. And that figure is helping the inflation outlook improve as well.
Okay, so moderating growth, maybe easing inflation. What does that mean for interest rates? Because they've been high.
Extremely high. The benchmark rate's been held at a steep 15% since July. So the big question for investors now is, with growth cooling a bit and inflation maybe easing, will the central bank finally pivot? Many analysts are anticipating they might, just might, start cutting rates by the end of the year. That would be significant.
A potential rate cut would definitely be welcome news in many quarters. But the government's 2026 budget bill, I hear there's some, let's say, interesting accounting going on, making some economists raise an eyebrow.
Yes. Interesting accounting is one way to put it. It really shows that tension between, political goals and fiscal reality. The government submitted its 2026 budget bill, and they're projecting a small primary surplus.
Remind us what primary surplus means again?
Right. It's when the government's revenue, before paying interest on its debt, exceeds its spending. They're aiming for about 0.25% of GDP, roughly $34.5 billion. On paper, this lets the Lula administration say, look, we're meeting our new fiscal rules.
Okay, but there's a but.
There's definitely a but. This surplus is only achieved because they've strategically exempted around our $57.8 billion in court-ordered spending from the calculation.
So they just didn't count certain expenses.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Without those specific exclusions, the budget would actually show a slight deficit. And economists are quite critical, arguing it masks the true fiscal picture. I mean, look at the gross public debt. It's climbed over 10 percentage points of GDP since Lula took office in 2023.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It reflects expansive social spending, yes, but also those persistently high interest costs. And they're also proposing another minimum wage hike to $631 next year, 7.4% up, about 2.5% above inflation. Good for incomes, but adds more to federal spending.
So the real insight isn't just the headline number, it's how they got there. This creative bookkeeping could undermine confidence.
Right, that's the core issue. While the economic team is, trumpeting compliance ratings agencies in the markets, they remain cautious. They see the adjustments, they see the political difficulty in making deeper cuts.
Yet the stock market's been doing incredibly well. How does that square?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Against this backdrop, the Bovespa index has been on a tear, up around 17% year-to-date, hitting record highs above 140,000 points.
So what's driving that optimism?
It seems to be fueled by resilient corporate earnings, plus those hopes we mentioned of eventual interest rate relief. But the really interesting story within the Bovespa's rise is the divergence between private and state-controlled companies.
Oh, how so?
Privately run firms have really led the charge. Eletrobras shares, for instance, surged about 40%. The fintech Nubank, up nearly 80%.
Huge gains.
Reflecting perhaps confidence in sectors less exposed to government intervention. Contrast that with state-controlled Petrobras. Its stock lagged, actually down around 9%.
Why the drop for Petrobras?
While Brasília nudged the oil giant to trim its dividend payouts to fund new investments.
Yeah.
It just vividly shows how political meddling, even if well-intentioned, can quickly cool investor enthusiasm.
A clear signal from the market there. Okay, let's shift away from the direct politics and economics for a moment. Brazil continues to project its soft power, right? Its culture is so vibrant.
Absolutely. That cultural talent consistently shines on the international stage. It often reminds people of the nation's richer tapestry beyond the headlines. We see Ivan Lins, the acclaimed singer-composer.
A legend.
Indeed. Known for that amazing sound bridging bossa nova and soul, he's getting a Lifetime Achievement honor at the 2025 Latin Grammys. It's more than just an award. It really highlights Brazil's huge ongoing influence on Latin music globally.
And domestically.
Domestically, the Gramado Film Festival just gave Best Picture to Cinco Tipos de Medo, 5 Kinds of Fear. It's described as a gritty thriller.
Interesting. What's significant about that win?
Well, it's the first film from the country's interior to win the top prize at Gramado. It showcases the growing diversity of Brazilian storytelling, moving beyond just Rio or São Paulo narratives.
That's great to see. Expanding the lens.
Exactly. And then on the diplomatic side, Brazil and France are launching a binational cultural season. It just underlines this growing soft power outreach through the arts.
A really positive picture of cultural vibrancy. But here's where it seems to circle back to those deep national divides we talked about, especially with Independence Day coming up on September 7th. It sounds like the holiday itself is becoming a kind of mirror for these social and political splits. What's the feeling on the ground?
It really does raise that fundamental question about national identity in such a polarized time. The Lula government is actively trying to rebrand Independence Day. They're aiming for inclusive patriotism. They're using that Brasil Soberano banner heavily, not just for traditional unity themes, but also highlighting tech pride.
Tech pride, how so?
They're even touting the Pix payment system, Brazil's incredibly successful instant payment platform, as a proud Brazilian innovation.
Ah, okay. Connecting patriotism to modern achievement.
Right. And the official celebrations in Brasilia, with Lula presiding, will have military bands, cultural groups,
Uh-huh.
all carefully designed to project unity and a forward look.
But that's only one side of the coin.
Precisely.
Yeah.
This is where the split screen really comes in. In São Paulo, there's a major opposition rally being organized by staunch Bolsonaro loyalists.
Yeah.
Figures like ex-First Lady Michelle Bolsonaro are involved. They plan to gather on Avenida Paulista, a symbolic spot, with slogans like "Out with Moraes."
Targeting the Supreme Court justice again.
Yes, Justice Alexandra de Moraes, a frequent target. And also Amnesty Now, for those arrested after the January 8th riots.
So, two completely different Independence Day events, reflecting two different Brazils almost.
It encapsulates that push and pull perfectly.
Yeah.
Two fundamental different visions. It really underscores the bigger unresolved question for Brazilian society. How do you reconcile this fervent patriotism with such stark ideological divides, even when you have shared cultural things, like the passion for football that might usually bring people together? It seems harder now.
What a truly compelling deep dive, a nation navigating such complex waters. We've seen a historic trial testing its democracy, a trade standoff asserting sovereignty,
An economy showing resilience but facing these tricky fiscal challenges.
and society grappling with deep divisions, even while its culture shines globally. It's undeniably clear Brazil is at a really pivotal moment. So many moving parts shaping its future.
Indeed, the sources paint this vivid, compelling picture of a nation actively trying to define its path, often with these powerful, conflicting forces at play. And this all brings us back to a powerful thought, maybe, for you, our listener, to reflect on. Can Brazil actually succeed in safeguarding its democratic institutions and securing economic sovereignty without making that intense ideological divide even deeper?
That's the core tension, isn't it?
It seems to be. Or will pursuing accountability and autonomy, however necessary they seem, end up costing national unity, maybe even hurting investor confidence in the long run? It's a complex question, certainly one worth pondering if Brazil continues down this path.
That is a truly thought-provoking way to leave things. Thank you for joining us on the Depth Dive today. We really hope this exploration gave you some valuable insights, maybe connected a few dots for you. We love bringing these analyses to you, so if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Join our community of curious learners. Until next time, keep digging deeper.